Hi, my name is LaShonda Renea, and I am on day 102 of a fully raw vegan diet. So I started this journey on July 3rd of 2023, and the intention behind it really was to heal my body. I had contracted COVID in March of 2021 and had a really bad case of COVID. So many symptoms that were talked about on the news and many more that weren't. And the symptoms just lingered. And as much as I tried, I went through several doctors, specialists, different types of treatments. I just wasn't getting any better. And just a little backstory, prior to COVID, I was extremely healthy and active. I was eating a primarily plant-based vegan diet. I was, and I had been doing so since 2006. I was working out a lot. So I was working out. I was running 2 miles in the morning, getting on my Peloton stationary bike, doing yoga in the morning. In the afternoons, I would be doing another bike workout on the Peloton, and taking another walk for about 3.5 miles around my neighborhood and doing some more yoga and stretching. And I was in the best shape of my life. I was really healthy and strong. And then I got COVID. Actually, I was training for a triathlon, and my thought was I wanted to go to the doctor to make sure that I knew what my base level fitness was as far as all my levels, my VO2 max levels, and just getting some measurements and all of that. So went to the doctor, and the next day I was sick. So I don't know if I got sick from the doctor or I may have gotten sick from my swim instructor. Not really sure, but either way, I got COVID. And 31 months later, I was still dealing with long COVID symptoms. I even had I was part of a long COVID clinic in Florida, and there was nothing that they were giving me that was helping. And then I had one symptom in particular, which was blurred vision, that just no doctor knew the cause of it. They knew that people with COVID were they were having issues with their vision changing rapidly and not being steady. And they just had not figured out the cause so that they can cure it. And ironically, I actually had LASIK years before, so I had 20/20 vision prior to COVID. And I found myself with glasses, actually even with bifocals, and back to wearing contacts again because of COVID. So needless to say, I was at my wit's end. I was tired of being sick. I wasn't able to run and work out because of my lung issues. I had every type of inhaler and breathing treatment you could possibly think of. And looking at, how I was prior to COVID and, almost 2.5 years into it, I was just tired. I didn't know what to do, and no one could treat me. So one thing I knew is that in the past, anytime I was sick and I had illnesses or ailments, changing up my diet and cleaning up my diet helped. It either helped me get better, or it healed what was going on with me. And so being raw was not new to me. I started my vegan plant-based journey, or whatever you want to call it, in 2006 by going cold turkey and switching to a raw vegan diet for months. After watching some documentaries on parasites found in chickens. So I knew the raw lifestyle. I've been exposed to the raw lifestyle. I've experienced the raw lifestyle since 2006. I intentionally do 2 months of raw every year. For the first 40 days of the year leading up to my birthday, I usually do a high raw diet, meaning that I do nothing but fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and I may have one cooked meal a day, which would be either cooked vegetables, or maybe I'll do like a Yeah, it's usually cooked vegetables and or grain. And then that's from January till about the middle of February. And then the month of June every year, I go completely raw. And so I've done this strategically over the years, mainly because in the beginning of the year, I just want to focus on keeping whatever resolutions that I've promised myself or made for myself, and just preparing myself to turn another year older. And that's my justification for the first 40 days of the year, sticking to a high raw diet. And then I started doing these June raw, because that's usually the hottest time of the year. I live on the East Coast, and that's usually the hottest time of the year, the beginning of the summer, and temperatures are usually 90 to 100 plus degrees, and I run, and I like running outside, and that's the peak season that I run as I start training for half marathons or marathons. And so being raw during that time has helped me tremendously, because I find that any other time of the year when I'm running, I always injure myself. Always injure myself, no matter how careful I am, how much I stretch, how much I hydrate, how much I foam roll. I'm always injuring myself. But when I'm completely raw, I don't have those issues. I find that when I'm completely raw and I'm running, I don't have muscle cramps. I don't have any DOMS or delayed onset muscle symptoms. I don't have issues with hydration. I don't find that, I'm profusely sweating or running out of breath. I just feel like I'm at the optimum fitness level when I am eating all raw. And so that has just been a habit I've continued to keep over the years. So back to current state here. So on July 3rd, I made the decision that I was going to go raw. And I did not have a time frame. Most people who go raw, they want to do it for a week or 30 days or 90 days. And I didn't have a time limit on it, because my focus was different this time. This wasn't about vanity. This wasn't about losing weight. It was about healing my body. And so my thought behind it was, I'm going to go raw until my body is healed, and then my body will make the decision about what it needs going forward. And it's been an interesting journey. It wasn't tough for me because I've done it before, but actually it was easier this time for me because my why was bigger than just vanity. It was healing myself and getting myself to a place where, I felt good again. I felt alive. I felt energized. And I would say it was right after the first week. So it did not take 2 weeks. So right after maybe day 8, day 9, I realized that my symptoms were gone. The fatigue was gone. The aches were gone. The inflammation was gone. The puffiness in my face was gone. Around my abdomen was gone. My breathing was regulated. I could go and take a walk and not feel like I needed to reach for an inhaler. I was able to walk up the steps, several steps, set of stairs, and I have a lot of stairs where I live, and I wasn't out of breath. And at that moment, I was like, okay, this is working. I knew it would work, but I didn't realize it was going to work this fast. And so it just was easy for me. And as time went on, there was a lot of clarity that happened for me as well. So one of the side effects of eating raw for me and for others that I've spoken to is that you think clear. It's almost like the brain fog is gone, which was another side effect of COVID as well. So I just continued with it. I'm one of those people who enjoys routine. So I have no problem eating the same food day after day after day. It's decision fatigue. I don't have decision fatigue. It just makes it really easy. So one of the things that I did was I made sure that I set myself up for success during this process. The biggest thing is that I made sure that instead of going to the grocery store almost daily like I would do in the past, I dedicated 2 days a week to go to the grocery store. This did two things for me. The first thing was it allowed me to keep fresh fruits and vegetables in the house and not waste food. It's really easy to buy, produce, and it just rot and it goes bad. So I wanted to make sure that I was being a good steward of the food and that I was buying and that I was actually eating it. The second thing is, when you're trying to stay raw, going to the grocery store is not probably the best place for you. When you go into a grocery store, there's usually a deli, there's usually food cooking, there's, all types of, food that's not raw around that can tempt you. I wasn't really concerned about being tempted just because my why was very strong. So I had no problem going to the grocery store first thing in the morning when the bakery was baking their fresh bread. I'd take a deep breath, I'd smell the bread, I would enjoy the smell of it, and then remind myself that even though I love bread, bread doesn't love me, and bread is not going to heal me in this stage of my life. So it was super simple for me. So going twice a week helped with that. It also helped me with my meal prep. It gave me a date and a time that I would go grocery shopping, I would prep my meals for the week, and then I'd be done with it. I did not have to think about what I was going to eat because the food was already prepped. That gave me the opportunity to not just be caught off guard and starve or have to eat something that I didn't feel like was in compliance with the restrictions that I set up for myself for this raw food diet. It also gave me flexibility because I did travel quite a bit during this time. And I was able to just grab my food that I'd already prepped and put it in my cooler. And when I traveled for conferences, I brought my cooler with me. I brought my pre-prepped food with me. I did not have to eat the food that was provided me at the conference. I didn't go to the dinners afterwards or the happy hours. I had my own food, and it was nice. It was different, but it was nice, and I still felt good that I was able to travel and do all those things and not not fall off the wagon, so to speak. Another thing that I did was I found a really good salad combination for dinner that filled me up, and I've enjoyed it so much. I've literally had this salad every night for dinner. I may have skipped 1 or 2 days, but almost every night I've had the same salad dressing, and I'm still loving it. Actually, I crave it, I think, because I've been having it consistently. So that's helped. Now, some of the restrictions that I put for myself, not really sure why I did it in the beginning. I think, well, maybe I do. So I told myself that I was not going to have any nice cream. So nice cream is frozen bananas as a ice cream base. You blend it up, and then you can add any other frozen fruit or chocolate or anything else to it. My decision was to not have an ice cream this time, just because in the past I leaned on ice cream, and usually I would have 1 or 2 bowls of ice cream every day when I would go on my raw diets. I didn't want to do that this time because I wanted to focus on making sure that I was filling my body with lots of greens and a mixture of fruits and vegetables. Another thing that I told myself that I was not going to do was do raw grains. So some people in a raw diet will sprout wild rice, black wild rice, or they will use raw oatmeal. I decided not to do that. Some of the reason behind it was I felt like it takes it longer to digest, and sometimes it's more of an addicting food, and it's a food that I'm used to having warm, so I kind of justified it by not having it by thinking that if I had those foods, then perhaps I would crave cooked foods, so I stayed away from them. I also stayed away from cacao or cocoa powder or chocolate cocoa powder, because chocolate's a stimulant. So I did not want myself to get into a place where I was eating more and more chocolate and just satisfying my taste buds, but not feeding and eating foods that were nutritious for my body to heal. And there's no issues with any of these ingredients. These were just choices that I consciously made and stuck to. I also made the decision not to have green tea. I did have some green tea, oh gosh, it had to be around day 95. And I was at Starbucks, couldn't figure out what else to order, and I had some green tea there. But green tea was off my list because green tea is high in caffeine, and I didn't want any strong stimulants during this time either. So those were the rules that I set for myself. The only additional thing was oil. So normally I do an oil-free diet just because I understand a little bit of how oil works and how it works in my body, and especially because it's so calorie dense and high, and there's no nutritional value to them, right? So I knew that if I was going to stick to this diet, that I was going to need a little bit of oil to get me through, to keep me full, and to make me feel like my salads were, a hearty meal for me. So I created a salad dressing that I've been making every night, and it has probably about a half a tablespoon of oil in it. And that's all the added oil I use of a cold pressed oil. That's the only thing I add to my salads and to my meals a day. So that's the only oil that I will allow in my diet. And I believe that that's helped me stick to the diet, because a few days I tried salads during lunchtime, where I would just do a seed-based salad or just do a fruit or vegetable-based salad dressing, and it just didn't fill me the same way. So I have talked about, how I meal prep, the restrictions that I put on myself, and also some of the meals that I ate. One thing that I did notice is, as time went on, I was not drinking as much water, which is normal on these diets because you're getting your water from your fruits and vegetables. Another thing that I noticed was just an extreme abundance of energy, which is really difficult when you're someone who is in a physical state where you can't work out. So that energy, I was able to translate that energy, or use that energy in a different manner. Instead of working out, I was able to use that energy in a creative manner, and I was able to create a lot of content and just a lot of projects that are in the works right now, as well as I spent a lot of time in the kitchen creating new recipes and just very, very creative and finding raw recipes that were tasty and actually looked good. They looked good and they taste good. So it was nice to be able to get back to that. It's been quite a while since I've had the energy to do any of these things. One of the other restrictions I did put on myself was that I was not going to work out the first 60 days. I wanted the food to work, and I just wasn't in a place physically where I was going to be able to work out, even though I was feeling better. So I waited. After the 60th day, I started walking, and within the week, I started running, just doing interval running again, very slow. Interval running basically is, I'll walk a minute, then I'll run a minute, or I'll walk to two poles if I'm walking on the street, and then I'll run two poles, and then just continue to repeat that pattern. And as time went on, I was feeling better. I could tell that my breathing was better. So I knew that I was healing. It was around this time too, around day 60 or 70, that I started noticing the weight loss. So I got on the scale before I started, the day that I started, and I believe 2 weeks later. So yeah, on day 14. And I haven't been on the scale since. So I have no idea what I weigh, but I do know that my clothes are fitting differently. They're falling off. I can definitely see that I'm shrinking, and others have noticed that I'm shrinking as well. So that's just an added benefit to all of this, since that was not the goal in the first place, although I knew it would be a side effect. So around, day 60, I started running again. I was doing that for a while, and then life gave me a curveball. I went in for my annual mammogram, and long story short, they found 2 masses, and one in each breast. And so I had to have a biopsy for both breasts, and that was quite of a journey for me. One, because it was such a surprise. I have no history of breast cancer in my family. I've been doing my mammogram since age 40 annually, as I should be, and nothing was ever found in the past. And they found something in both breasts this time, which was just very, very shocking to me. Wasn't really sure how to handle it. It took a few weeks before I had to do the mammograms, I had to do ultrasounds, I had to do more mammograms, and then more ultrasounds, and then the biopsy. So the process was long, and then waiting on the results. And so thankfully, everything is fine, and I'll just have to monitor it go in for an ultrasound every 6 months, just to make sure that nothing's growing and nothing else has popped up. But that was a very stressful time. And, usually, stress could cause most people to eat. You want comfort foods. And I believe that if all of this had happened before my raw food diet, maybe I would have gone to some comfort foods. Or if it had happened the first week or 2 of the raw food diet, I may have acquiesced and, stopped, eating raw. Just, because of the stress and the pressure of everything going on at the time. But because it happened after, what was this, like day 70, 75, I was already in a rhythm, and this was already a lifestyle for me. So my default was to go home and eat my prepped food and drink some water and just, keep a positive mindset and just worry about today and not tomorrow. And that's what I did for, those few weeks as I was going through the testing, and then the week after waiting for the biopsy results. And the biggest setback was that I was running prior to the biopsy, and I was told that I would do the biopsy. I could not do any housework for 3 days, and no lifting anything heavy for 3 days. But after the 3 days, I should be okay. Stay out of the water for a week, but yeah, I can get back to my normal life. Well, that wasn't the case for me. I was in pain. I couldn't walk down the stairs without without having pain near the incision sites for both breasts. It was excruciating for 2.5 weeks almost. Even with the compression bra on and being very, very careful, I was, kind of bound to sitting down all day and putting ice in my bra to help with some of the pain and some of the discomfort that I was experiencing. And so yeah, that was a hard setback for me. But still, I stick with my diet, and I never wavered from the diet throughout all these things that were going on. There was a lot of other stressful things going on at the time, but I did not waver from the diet. So let's see, I made it to, day 100 2 days ago. And I decided that I felt good. I felt like I was probably about 95% healed from the biopsies. And it was time to attempt to run again. So I got on the treadmill and I slowly, very, very, very slowly, did some intervals, 1-minute intervals on the treadmill for 30 minutes. And I felt great. I had no pain. I woke up the next day. I wasn't in any pain. And I accredit it to allowing my body to rest and heal, but I also credit it to the foods that I've been feeding my body. The raw food, the living foods have truly helped me heal faster, and it's been a tremendous help on the clarity of mind that I've had over the last 100+ days. So this is a little bit about my journey. I wanted to share because I've spoken to so many people, and my story seems to be a little different than theirs. I haven't had some of the struggles because I don't have the cravings, and it's just been a really interesting journey. Now the question is, am I going to stay raw? Am I going to stay, fully raw, eating fully raw and living foods for the rest of my life? I don't know. I probably won't. Am I going to continue this for, another week or a few months or days? I don't know. What I do know is that I will wake up every morning, or every morning that I do wake up, I will make the conscious decision to give my body what my body needs and what my body craves and what it desires in order to stay in this peak and optimal healthy state right now. That's where my focus is. So that's where I plan on continuing to do. It's easy to, get caught up in the fads of, and the craze of these detox, and I'm going to eat raw for 4 days or for a week, or I'm going to eat mono meals for a week, or I'm going to eat, watermelon for a month, or grapes for a month, or whatever it may be. That's all great, but I am in a place in my health journey where I am not going to compromise my health by playing with it. And so for me, I'm not going to go and, do these extreme things to my body just to reintroduce the other extreme foods to it again. So I'm going to be gentle with my body as I've always been, and just listen to it and do what I feel is best for it at this time. So I appreciate you listening to my story, to my journey. There's so much more to come, and please let me know if you have any questions. If you need support, I have a list of resources that I personally know that can help you too throughout your journey. And I will also say that this may not be the answer for everyone to heal their health problems. I know that it helped me heal the problems that I had, and I'm grateful for it. But I would just say to anyone, regardless of where you are, if you're trying to lose 100 pounds, or you're trying to, reverse some illness that you have, or, just get to a place where you feel your body, your mind, and your spirit are all aligned and feel just optimal, do what's best for you and reach out. There's communities all over the place. And if you don't know where to start, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll help you at least take that first step to creating the life and the wellness and well-being in your life that you ultimately deserve. So thank you for listening.